A child's death that has haunted the town of Pekin for the past year.
On November 18th, 13-year-old Robert Bee was reported as a runaway by his mother.
However, we have been in touch with the Illinois State Police and are in the process of entering information of a missing or endangered person advisory.
And what happened to Robert Bee brought people in Pekin out to search for answers themselves weekend after weekend. Thousands of leads poured into the Pekin Police Department.
The search for the teenager coming to a halt on a hot July day when his skeletal remains were found.
I think that it's just bigger than us. I don't know, I'm just feeling danger.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
Do you know why Teresa Vansil would say that you were there that night? Do you know why she would and why you're saying that she was there?
I wasn't there, so
yeah.
Like, I didn't even know anything about it. She's the one that brought that little boy over with Jonathan. Jonathan was only 17. She's a 30-year-old woman that was sleeping with Jonathan. I remember, and she agreed with me, and I just met her.
Were you actually there the day that they brought Bonzai over?
No, I told you Randy Seidel told me that story.
Okay. Yep.
And then she told me in the basement, like before Randy said anything, that the little boy said I didn't get too many pieces because I didn't want to push her because she's crazy.
Yeah.
And they admitted that she said it was just an accident, and that's all I got from her. But before, she was always searching for Bonzai's bones and making it look like she was, I don't know, like here to save Bonzai's life. Whenever I seen Robert's picture on Facebook and took it into my own hands to try to figure out who did it, because everyone knew that I was trying to figure it out on my own.
I was very disturbed when Robert Bee went missing and then later was found murdered. Everybody was.
Oh, I can only imagine. It's quite unnerving, you know.
I mean, I can tell you some of Teresa's background if you want to know, whatever, but the thing that creeped me out the most was not long after the little boy disappeared, maybe a couple months, Teresa and I were in the car. I don't remember where we were going, but she said, I know exactly where they'll find that little boy. And she pointed off into some woods, and that is where they found that little boy. I just know that this conversation when she said that was a couple of months after he was killed. We went by a wooded area, and she said, that's exactly where they're going to find Robert Bee. And then that was exactly where they found him.
Wow, so...
That freaked me out.
No, that would freak me out too. So you think that she basically pointed to the exact area that he was found?
I can't remember where we were going, but it was towards from the Pekin Bridge to towards where the federal prison is. We were going that direction.
Okay.
And right before you get to the prison, or right when the prison, there's a stoplight there. I think we were stopped there, and she said, I can tell you exactly where they're going to find that little Robert Bee, and she pointed at an area. And that is the area where they found him. I don't know if she was guessing and made a good guess, but I don't think so.
Yeah, you got the impression that she might have known.
Knowledge.
Yeah. Did she ever...
I still think that.
We're going to use this on the show, Ashes Dash, and you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so make sure first I say that.
I really don't like having myself put out there, but I think this is a good cause to, I don't know if I'm helping or what.
One of the most important things that you talked about was a seance that happened at your house.
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about who the people you remember at the seance?
I remember Tara Regan. I believe that Kira was there. I'm not really sure on that.
Okay.
And there was a couple other people. I can't remember because we were getting high last night. And I don't exactly remember all who was there. There was like three people and me.
Okay.
And of course Teresa.
And you're talking about Teresa Vansel.
Teresa Vansel,
okay.
Yes. And she, she thinks she's like a psychic or whatever, which I don't really believe in a lot of that. But she decides, she gets a candle lit and she starts her seance, and she describes this area by some railroad tracks with grass and bones spread all. She described Robert Bee's where he was supposed to be found.
Yeah.
2 days later, he's found in exactly the same spot, and everything that she said went along with the story that I told you already about, which I don't want to get into.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. I like that we're talking about something you were there during.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because I don't know if any of that was true.
Yeah.
But I do know this is, and she described it exactly 2 days later. They found him in exactly the same spot, and he was found exactly like they said, scattered. The bones he was scattered around an area, and I just thought that was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But even then, I didn't know what I do now, and I honestly believe that she knows more than what she's saying.
So, in your estimation of where she said it was the exact spot?
Exactly.
Exact spot.
Exact spot.
Okay.
Now, who would know that?
Right. That's a
Other
great
than
question.
somebody that
Knew
was
something.
either there
Knew something
or
about it.
knew something about it. And it's creeped me out.
Yeah.
And that's stuck in my head all this whole time.
Right.
And now that I've heard more things, I've heard stories from 3 or 4 other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the same, but there's a couple variables as far as the people involved. And I honestly believe that she knows something about it, or she really is a psychic.
Yeah, one of the two, right? She really is a psychic, or she has firsthand
Exactly, and
information.
I'm not one to believe in the psychic. Teresa always mentioned the little boy ghost in my house.
Well, that's weird.
Well, and a lot of things happened. A lot of things happened there that I don't know about, and there's things that I did know about.
Are you comfortable talking about the conversation that you witnessed between Josh and Tara Regan right after?
This was just before the conversation. It wasn't much of a conversation. It was just a few words was said back and forth between them two. Well, actually, Josh telling her. And this particular morning, I just got off work, and I came in, and I sat down on my couch like I did to unwind for a few minutes. And Tara was sitting on the couch across from me, and because me and her were friends, she lived there, and we were talking. And Josh comes in, and he's got a crazed look on his face. He didn't really know I was there. I'd gotten up and was standing by my bathroom, which was a few feet away, and it was kind of dark there, so he didn't see me. And he come into Tara, and he says, "Tara," he says, "I've done something that they will put me away for the rest of my life for." He said, "All I wanted to see what it felt like to kill somebody." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I came out, he just shut up instantly and looked at me with this crazy look and said, and grabs her and pulls her out the door, and they left. That's another thing all this time is like, what? I'm thinking, what the hell did he do, That'll put him away for the rest of his life. And did he kill somebody? Robert Bee came up missing. At that time, I didn't think nothing about it until later on when people start asking me, what do you know about this? And I really didn't know anything. I was just taking in what they were telling me.
Did you think it was weird people were asking you?
I thought it was weird people were asking me. They knew, people know, you know, they knew it was my house, and the ones who were asking me were people that came to my house. They were there all the time, you know, to do their thing after I left work. Mm-hmm. As I said before, you know, at 10:15 every night, I go to work. 10:15 every night, 10:30 or whatever, that's when it was party time. And then they'd party all night until just before I came home. They would all leave. And that happened pretty much every night. When the people started questioning me about if I knew anything about Robert Bee or whatever, I started taking pieces from each one of them, and they all were consistent. And that's the story that I told you earlier, which I don't want to get into, is I believe it's true, because they all had the same story, but they just implicated different people doing the dirty work.
Right.
Is what I would call it.
And are you okay with us using the part where you say their stories were consistent?
Yeah.
Okay.
The story of exactly how it happened was consistent between several people. You know, I told what I know, and what I do know is all hearsay, and it's things that I gathered. I don't know if any of it's even true, but I just thought it was strange how they all had the same story.
It raises some suspicion.
It raises suspicion in me. I had people come to my house and do the same thing and tell me the same story. So I don't know the whole truth because I was not there.
Absolutely.
And they knew I lived there, and they were wondering if it's like it made me feel like they were asking me what I know because they thought maybe I talked to somebody else that was there, and they were trying to find out if somebody else was, you know, if they were ratting out on them or whatever. So they were checking me to see what I knew.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know anything.
Are you comfortable talking about the van and that something seemed weird going on with that, or?
All I can say about the van is there was a couple different times that there was people out there that they put something in the van. I don't know if it was something they stole from me. There wasn't nothing missing because I didn't have much left of value anyway. They took it all, and they all like shut up and then, like here, you know. And I just got a creepy feeling something was going on in that van that they didn't want me to know about.
Did you see them cover up what was in the van with anything?
I just seen them throwing blankets over the back.
And I let them use my van a few times, and they took off with it, and were gone with it for quite a while.
You had some thoughts after the fact that your van could have potentially been used to move the body.
You know what? No one's ever said that to me, but I wonder.
You just wondered.
I wonder if it wasn't involved.
Interesting. Do you feel, if your memory serves you correctly, that from the day Bonzai went missing officially to the day his bones were found, you feel as though Josh McCreary and would have borrowed your van at some point in there?
I do believe that in my heart, I believe they moved his body with my van. That's pretty smart that you got that figured out, because I have never said that to anyone.
And I love Teresa, sometimes. Let's just put it that way, sometimes. And she'd be sweet as heck. And then there was times that she was like evil. And the two times that I'd seen that van and them around it, it's just like, what are they doing? Yeah. I'm not missing anything. Or they might have stole something from somewhere else.
That's true too.
Who knows?
Absolutely.
But now, after these years and whatnot, I put, everybody that I've talked to since I got out of jail, and so some things I heard while I was in jail, and things that happened before he came up missing. I put it all together because that when the part about Josh and want to see what that all stuck in my head. I mean, all this time I was like, what did he do? And then all these stories and the consistencies, and this happened in my house. And I know if I would have been there, if it happened in my house, they pushed a little kid down, or anything, anybody would have got hurt in my house, there would have been an ambulance there.
Oh, of course.
And
You just called
somebody would have got their ass whooped
Yeah.
and been in the ambulance with them.
Yeah.
I promise you that. That's
Yeah.
I wouldn't have went up with that.
Of
I
course.
wouldn't have flew with that. That little boy would have been in the ambulance and in the hospital, or at least if he was dead, he would at least been in the ambulance.
At least gotten returned to his
He wouldn't have
family.
been scattered around
Yeah.
out somewhere or whatever
Absolutely.
happened, and all that has creeped me out all this time. Now I'm a little scared right now.
Yeah. I would be too
Even
if I were you.
even saying what I do.
Can you just explain so people understand what your relation to that house was?
I was renting it.
Okay.
I lived there by myself, and started with my neighbor had a friend that was having problems with her husband, and she asked if she could stay on my porch. And so we made a bedroom out there on my front porch. It was a big glass porch, and the girls just they loved it out there. Then I got a call, and a girl asked me to see if I could help another girl. And Kira. I love Kira to death. She was in Texas, and I brought her up from Texas. The other girl got back with her husband and moved out, who's still my friend to this day. Kira moved onto the porch, and then people started coming around more and more. And I had several girls move in and out of there. One would move in, and they'd tell another one, okay, Jerry, I'll let you stay there, Yeah. I didn't care. And it turned into a dope house. At 10:15, when I go to work, it was party time. And tweaker time is what I always call it. It's tweaker time. And they'd party all night. And when I come home, they're all gone, except for the ones that lived there. And I'm like, what happened here, I'd be all mad. Then, like I say, it happened every night, and I couldn't stop it. I would get robbed and everything else, I couldn't stop it, so finally I just gave up.
Right, just kind of let it happen.
I just let it go.
Couldn't control
And
it.
that's how my house got to be like it was. It ended up a dope house.
Was Teresa staying with you, or she came by?
Teresa would come stay for a few days, and then we get in an argument or whatever, because Teresa, after a couple of days of doing dope, she would get really spooky. She would actually hit herself in the face, hit herself in the head, and call the police and try to tell them that I did it.
Oh, wow, that's frightening.
I went to jail twice, actually 3 times, and she was teaching these girls her ways. This is how you take care of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know she was. Yeah. She was like the mama bear. Like I said, my house turned into that. Eventually, I was doing the dope too, and I didn't pay my bills or I didn't do anything, and it got all crazy, and I ended up moving after all that. And then, like I said, then pieces of then I heard that Robert Bee thing happened in my basement. I'm like, what? To this day, I have gathered up all that, what I've told you about, and this is the conclusion I came up with.
Do you know, was Teresa Vansell staying with you over the time that Robert Bee went missing? And if you don't remember, that's fine.
I don't know, because some of the girls would, like Teresa, she lived out of town sometimes, or she would stay with somebody else, but and then we get in a fight, we get in an argument or whatever, and always all the girls I've been in an argument with every one of them. A couple days later, they come back. It was really weird. Yeah. And like Teresa, she would come stay with me 3-4 days, and usually Teresa, by the 3rd day, I didn't want her there anyway, because they would get so twacked out on dope that you looking for trouble is what it felt like. like I said, Teresa, I couldn't exactly tell you if she was there at that time.
And then what about Josh McCreary? Did he stay with you from time to time, or was he there from time to time?
Josh was Tara's boyfriend. It was weird. There would be time Josh come over to get her or to check on her. It was like he was jealous. He thought me and Tara had something going on or something. We were friends.
Yeah.
And we were close. But there were times he would be sneaking around outside looking in the windows and things like that. He was a creepy little dude. And at that time, I don't know what he's like now, he would be over there looking to see what we were doing. And we were like, there was nothing to see.
Did you ever know if, or see Jonathan Tandy hanging around your house?
Jonathan would come down. Jonathan was young. And I didn't really like having underage kids in my house. But Jonathan was 17, and I knew his grandpa. And Jonathan had problems. So I would let him come down, and me and him would talk and stuff. And his grandpa would come down looking for him. He didn't mind him being down at my house. Yeah. And I got to know Jonathan, so I let him hang around. And that's how Jonathan started coming around.
But did you ever notice any relationship between Teresa Vansel and Jonathan Tandy?
Yes.
Like a physical relationship?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they were having sex?
They were boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. For a while.
Did that seem strange to you because the age
difference? I thought it
difference?
was really strange. You know, she's in her 40s and he's 17, which I don't have a problem with. Age is just a number to me. They had their little thing going, and they loved each other.
Yeah.
At that time, I honestly believe they did, and I think they still do. Mm-hmm. But I also think that there's a connection there that I'd rather not speak about.
Did you ever notice any smell coming from your house or any of the houses around it?
The thing of it is there's a ethanol plant right there by it, and that stinks too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But there's been times that I smelled, and I thought it was strange because it was coming from the opposite direction. That's all, and then a couple of days later, it was gone.
Okay.
But I couldn't just tell you if it wasn't just the ethanol plant because it stinks bad, or it was something else.
Yeah.
Now that everything, it could have been something else.
Well, yeah.
But
nothing ever.
At the
You were
time, I
never
thought,
like kind of
man,
sure about. You were like, could have been anything.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
It could be the ethanol plant. It could be anything, or it could be just a dead squirrel or something. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
But I did notice a smell a couple times.
But do you ever recall if there was any sort of refrigeration unit downstairs?
I had a refrigerator freezer in the basement. I hardly ever went to the basement. When I first moved in, I did because there was a nice shower down there. Eventually, that shower down there, I got to where I didn't like it no more, and I would take baths and stuff upstairs. And I never went downstairs anymore.
The unit that was in the basement, was it like one of those upright fridges?
It was an upright, it had the freezer, it was a refrigerator freezer.
Okay, so it had the freezer at the top, fridge at the bottom.
And all the racks were out of it.
Okay.
But it was on, it was always on, but I never used it. I was going to bring it upstairs, but never did mess with it. But yeah.
Did you ever see Nick Phillips?
Nick Phillips, he's come around. I know all them boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Kira kind of lived there.
Kira's a loner.
Yeah.
And she always stayed on the porch. She never hung around with those. She did at first, but she's a loner. She always stayed by herself out on the front porch.
And what about Randy Seidel? Was that someone who came by?
Randy, I knew Randy from the place I work.
Okay.
I never ever seen him at my house. I may have.
It's not something
we
you
were
remember,
doing,
though.
we were doing dope. He may have been there. I don't know. There was, like I said, there was every kid in that age group in town was there. They call it, what they say it's a lifestyle. 11 to 7 is a lifestyle. Party all night. We all work on getting more dope the next day. Come to the house, party all night. It was a cycle they had.
You feel that there is a good chance that people could have been in and out of your home that you didn't ever know or see or speak to. Okay, yeah.
Well, I believe I spoke to all of them.
Okay.
But there was times they were there and I didn't know they were there.
Yeah, okay.
And then there'd be another time they were there and I'd meet them.
That makes sense. So you've at some point in your life talked to them, but
Yeah.
they could have been in your house without you knowing.
Without me knowing. There was a lot of people in and out of that place.
Yeah.
They would sell dope out of there. So there was anybody that wanted something, go down there and after 11 and it would be served.
Hi everybody, this is Teresa on a real note. Kendra, I hope you're fucking listening to this bitch. I'm on to you. I know what happened. I've thought about it all hardcore. I want to thank you. Because you're the one who solved this case by lying your lying mouth on Ashes to Ashes. That's not what this is about. It's about Robert. I'm laying in the bathtub and I start dreaming. All of a sudden, I'm laying on Jerry Birch's basement floor. I'm like a rug. I see Robert standing there and he's just dancing around. Being autistic. Jonathan reaches over and hands him a hitter. Because he wants it. Robert smokes it, trying to be cool like the big boys. While he loses it.